Today, I have a very uncomfortable task to perform. A very difficult task. But I will have to do it because somebody has to do it. My task today is to inform Kenyans that the Gen Z were right after all. So that if there was any doubt as to whether the Gen Zs were right, that doubt is no more. Anybody who lives in this country, anybody who has watched the proceedings in Parliament the past few days, will arrive at the very uncomfortable conclusion that we have no country. And therefore, to that extent, our children and our grandchildren, the Gen Z, are very right. This country requires a reset. This country requires a shake-up. And therefore, to our children and the grandchildren, the Gen Zs and the millennials, we are guilty as charged. On behalf of my generation, I must apologize to you young people that we have messed this country and that we are so insensitive that we are unlikely even to realize that we need to change this country, leave alone change it. While I may not agree with you, the Gen Z people, perhaps in the approach, even as Nane approaches, while I may not agree with you, you know, old people are conservative. You don't blame us. You tend to be more cautious as you grow old. So even the firebrands of yesteryears are now the proverbial pale shadows of themselves. So forgive us, but we are guilty as charged. We have destroyed this country. Why do I say so today? Watching for the few minutes I would watch what is going on in Parliament tells me there is no hope. And that hope for this country cannot come from our generation. No. That hope for this country cannot come from the current leadership. No, not at all, not at all. Look at people who are supposed to be your leaders, casually talking about having hundreds of millions. Somebody casually opens his mouth and says, I have 900 million. I'm worth 500 million. Casually. It makes Manu Chandaria wonder what really is going on. How hard Manu Chandaria has had to work to make the money he has made or earned for himself. How hard companies have to work to get that kind of money people are just mentioning casually. How difficult it is for a hard-working person with all the instruments of industry to make even a profit of 100 million per year. How difficult it is. And yet here we have Kenyans wanting to be cabinet secretaries. What is your worth? 600 million. What's your worth? 400 million. Mine and my husband's. I've not heard men say theirs and their wives. Look, and you look at the person saying they have 400 million, and some of them, we know them. And look at the vetting. Look at the stupid questions being asked. The last one I followed, I don't know which. I think it was Uhuru Kenyatta's time, I think. So how did you get the 500 million? Oh, my house. Oh, I have a piece of land. Then it stops there. Where did you get that parcel of land? How did you get that house? Who gave it to you? Here is a lawyer. Worth 900 million. Where did he get the money from? It makes hard-working lawyers wonder. Kwani sisi tulikosea Mungu wapi? Look at the suckers. I have 800 million shillings. If you are a lawyer, how much have you paid in taxes? You stupid members of parliament. You have the research department in parliament. Why haven't you sent the researchers to KRA to find out this man who says he's worth 800 million? This man who says he has made an extra 100 million from his legal practice. How much has he paid in taxes? We don't have a country here. We are useless. If it was for us, I would say, let's destroy this country. Wacha ibomoke yote. But for our children and grandchildren. And that's why I support them. Let them teach us a lesson. Because we are jokers. How do you stand? How do you tell the country casually that when you vetted me last year, or 2 years, less than 2 years ago, I had so much. Between then and now, I have added another 200 million, 150 million, 100 million. Perhaps they came from my law firm, my practice. And idiots are sitting there, smiling. And it's about this country. It's about the future of this country. We are destroying our country. We can't have a country where we celebrate people who have just stolen from us outright. And in the name of we are vetting, what are we vetting? Where are the questions? Even just a question to somebody. I want to ask Moses Wetangula, Papa Waroma, good man from my place, to go home, retire home as lawyers will say, when you retire home. Not after retiring, after working. When you go after the day's work, as lawyers want to tell us. Go to your study, because you people have big homes, palatial homes. Go to some private part of your house. Play back what you are presiding over. Look at what you looked like. Look at your face. Look at the questions you are asking. Look at your demeanor. Look at the suckers you preside over. And tell me, I have one question. Then I'll ask another one, then I stop. The first question, and I've asked this question many times. Do you people really have children? If you don't have because God hasn't given you, that's another story. But we all have children. Whether we have biological children, adopted children, or otherwise, we just have children. Because all the children who walk in this town, in this country, all the children who go to Kenyan schools, these are our children. But I ask this question. Do you really have children? Do you have grandchildren? For those of you who are young members of parliament, that young girl of yours, what sort of country do you want her to grow in? Do you really love your children? The answer is no. You don't love your children. You are merchants. You can even auction your own children. Because auctioning the future of the country is auctioning your own children. And that's precisely what you are doing. When you sit in that committee asking stupid, cheap questions, and they said the research department in parliament, why haven't you used that department to ask serious questions? Why haven't you dismissed somebody? If I sit where you are sitting, I ask somebody one question, you just stand up and go home. So the first question I'm asking you, you leaders of this country, do you love this country? Do you love your children? Would you one day want your granddaughter to live proudly in a country? And that's why we must support Gen Zs. Because at least they are seeing what we are not seeing. They are seeing it must be about future. And you can't reduce a country to your stomach. It can't be that you see the country in terms of your stomach. Not even your children. You are not even moved by your own children, by your own grandchildren. What kind of future are they going to have for themselves. You don't see it. It's not beyond your stomach. Tumbo yako tu ndio unaona. That brings me to the second question. So you have hundreds of millions of shillings, billions of shillings, and yet you continue stealing public money. The money you steal as a cabinet secretary, as a member of parliament, that money you are stealing is basically auctioning the future of your children. Because you are so stupid, and allow me to call you stupid because indeed you are very stupid. Because the money you steal is meant to provide education to Kenyan children. They don't get education, and the education they get is not good enough. And even if they get some little education, there are no jobs because you do not create any time to work on the economy of this country so that you can create jobs for these young people. You are so stupid because you know yours will go to the UK. But Corona should have taught you something. That there could come a time when all of us will hear. Tutakanyagania mzizi wote. The immigration problems in Europe in the last decade or so should also have taught you you can only be comfortable in your own country. So the question I'm asking you, do you ever sit down and imagine what kind of future your children will have? Do you ever ask yourself that the money you are stealing will have an impact on the general well-being of this country, including your own children and grandchildren? Do you know when you mess the economy of this country because of not looking at things critically in parliament, only being concerned with cutting deals and making money? Because I'm sure even this vetting, some people will have been taken care of perhaps, who knows. But we have been told parliament is a place where people auction themselves. They have told us themselves. No, we didn't say it, they have said it themselves. Recently they said they were being given 2 million each to vote for some bill. So I'm not making up stories. So as you cut those deals and you destroy the education of this country, do you know you will not live in this country because these jobless boys and girls will come for you? They will not leave your daughter in peace. She has come from the UK with a good education. You have bought a good job for her. But she's surrounded by people who have no hope. How will she enjoy her life in this country? Then she goes back to the UK or wherever else she goes. Then she finds there's too much racism there. She has to come back home. Or something like Corona happens and we have all to be in our countries for 5 years. And the country, you've already messed it up. I must finish by asking you to rate how stupid you are. You rate yourself. Self-score yourself. And please answer yourself. Don't answer me. Don't answer anybody. Just ask yourself. In those moments when you are alone, ask yourself, how much money do I have? 2 billion. Where did I get it from? Ask yourself and provide the answers to yourself. In the interest of this country, in the interest of your children and your grandchildren. I have 2 billion. Where did I get it from? I stole from the public. What was the impact? In that year, I stole money meant for health. More than 300 mothers died in child labor. 1,000 children could not see their first birthday. They died because you stole that money. Then ask yourself, what is the difference between you and an animal? Ask yourself. Don't answer anybody. Answer yourself. Create some moments of silence. Create some moments of being on your own alone and ask yourself, what's the difference between me and an animal? And it must be a very silly animal for that matter. That I steal money that I cannot use. In the process of stealing, I'm destroying the future of the country. I'm destroying the education of children who will become crooks and whatever else you can call them, who will do things even to your daughters in the streets. We are getting there. Courtesy of your stupidity. Ask yourself. Answer yourself. You have $1 billion. You want another $1 billion. What are you going to do with that $1 billion? Is there anything reasonable you can ever think you can do with that $1 billion? So I must conclude. Watching those members of those nominees for cabinet talking about the hundreds of, we should be ashamed. We should be dying with shame as Kenyans. What industry do they have? Are they consultants? High-ranking consultants? How many consultancies have they brought to Kenya? How much have they paid in taxes? Where are their industries? Where are their factories? Which part of Kenya? How many thousands of acres are they doing farming? That they may casually come before the whole country and tell them, we have so much in hundreds of millions of Kenya shillings. Hundreds of thousands of US dollars. For a man who owns nothing, does not have an industry, has never had a job that can pay him even $10,000 all his life. And now he parades himself before the country, the whole country, and says, I'm worth 500,000 US dollars. I'm worth 2 million US dollars. What are we talking about? How did they get that money? How much have they paid in taxes? Are we creating a cabinet or we are creating billionaire crooks? That we must answer as people.